California, it's a heck of a place. It's got a lot. The West Coast is just so far left. I don't understand why. I seriously don't get it. Seattle, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not the worst. Los Angeles obviously is a big city. It leans, it's a blue district. It's a blue city. San Francisco's crazy though. You've got all these big tech giants that are obviously on the far left that do censor conservative voices. I'm gonna derail right here and just say, when anyone ever says there's no conservative censorship, just Google search the story about how the Facebook trending team was removing stories from conservative outlets. That happened. They apologized for it. They also apologized for blocking Prager University. It does happen. But anyway, the point is, it's funny how Twitter claims to lean left. They want to enact these hate speech policies. They want all of these far left policies. But let's look at this story. What happens when they got to put their money where their mouth is? Well, the big tech companies don't want it. San Francisco votes for homeless tax that Twitter's CEO and other tech companies tried to block. The city's controversial Proposition C, which would tax technology companies to fund homeless services, passed on Tuesday. It's really funny how these big tech companies don't want to help the homeless. Seriously, San Francisco is being called the city of feces. I'm not making that up. Let me derail real quick and show you this story. This is from Time. San Francisco to launch Poop Patrol to clean up streets amid homelessness crisis. Are you kidding me, San Francisco? This is a city where you've got tons of far lefties. Yeah, but you know what it really is? It's the wealthy white progressives who think they're better than everyone, who go on and on about how not racist they are, when in reality they're totally racist and they don't take care of people. They're not far left. Not at all. They just want power. You know, it really reminds me of Sweden, because my experience in Sweden was that people are extremely racist. Now, you've got a bunch of, Sweden's predominantly white, and they all claim how they're not racist. Oh no, they're so progressive and so far left. And to an extent, they kind of are. They think hate speech should be illegal and all these things. But they're pretty racist. They don't hire people who don't fit their culture, who don't fit their look. They assume that if someone's the child of a migrant, they're not really Swedish. And this is what we see with San Francisco. They had to launch a poop patrol, okay? So maybe you should do something about your homeless. And I, as a social liberal, don't think it's entirely wrong to tax the big industries to deal with the homelessness problem. I don't think that's the right solution for the most part. Look, I don't disagree with taxes. Maybe there's a better solution. But there's a problem with California in that, LA is it's considered to be like the homeless capital of the developed world, more homeless people than like most other places. But San Francisco, they're kicking it up. There's so much feces in San Francisco, they're launching Poop Patrol, okay? So you'd think these far lefties who are making tons of money, who are worth billions of dollars, and like not Jack Dorsey, I mean the companies, you'd think they'd agree that maybe something should be done about this. A San Francisco homeless tax called Proposition C, over which technology executives publicly squabbled with one another, passed on Tuesday with 60% of the vote. Proposition C would double what San Francisco currently spends on homeless services, providing an estimated $300 million for permanent housing units, shelter beds, and mental health and substance abuse care for the city's 7,500 reported homeless citizens. Here's the issue. I do believe we need to figure out how to solve the homeless problem. I do believe taxes can play a big part in that we can all pitch in to a system that will then solve the problem. But here's the problem. Giving someone a bed won't necessarily solve that problem. Giving someone, a place to live won't necessarily solve that problem. Mental health services, that's on par with what I think makes sense. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a bad social program and social programs in general. I, as someone who believes social programs can be a good thing, don't believe that welfare is necessarily the answer, right? I was having a conversation in my Discord about this, and people said, you will make them dependent. The homeless people will become dependent upon these shelters, upon the food you give them. They say, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for the rest of your life. Exactly. The solution is not to necessarily set them up in permanent homes, but maybe to help solve the problems for people. Listen, putting someone in a home is a Band-Aid, okay? Giving someone a shelter is a Band-Aid. We need to understand why they're homeless, what's causing that. And one of the big problems is many of them want to be homeless. Many of them don't want to work. Not all of them. Obviously, there are people who would absolutely love to take a job and don't want to be homeless. There was a point in my life where I was homeless. I slept in cars. I was sleeping on couches. And there was a couple days where I actually didn't have anywhere to sleep at all. Just stayed up all night. I'd go to Denny's. I've experienced this. I didn't want to be homeless. And I figured out how to solve that problem. But there are some people with mental health issues. So it's like, will social programs work? They can, yes. Do we need to fix them? Do we need to weed out corruption? Absolutely. Okay, so maybe the answer is mental health programs totally make sense. Maybe the people who can't work, who are mentally ill and who are, older in their years, maybe they do need a home because we can't do anything else out about it. And having them roam around the city, pooping everywhere is not a good thing. So maybe we should pay to fix that. But there are a lot of people that could use guidance and could have their problem solved by, giving a lift up. And sometimes it makes sense. They say, to do so, it would increase gross receipt taxes on companies, including some of the world's biggest technology giants, with headquarters in San Francisco, with an annual revenue above $50 million by roughly 0.5%. The measure's divisiveness was distilled into a public feud between Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey and Salesforce co-CEO Mark Benioff last month. Benioff supported Proposition C, spent at least $7 million of his and Salesforce's monies campaigning for it, making him the largest donor to the measure. In an October op-ed for the New York Times, he said of the tax, "This is a humanitarian emergency, and it demands an emergency response." Dorsey opposes the bill, once tweeting, "I want to help fix the homeless problem in SF in California. I don't believe this is the best way to do it." His main reason is that Proposition C would disproportionately affect mobile payment services such as Square, the company he has. By taxing fees they pay to credit card companies, the tax, Dorsey claimed, would cause Square to pay twice as much as Salesforce, even though its projected annual revenue would be 4 times less this year. Other criticisms of Proposition claim that its Proposition C, that its proceeds won't be managed responsibly. Now that I can get behind because I'm pretty sure that's true. It could cost the city jobs and will detract from other solutions to homelessness. Prop C would likely cause some job loss and reduction in GDP, but only by about 0.1%, fact-checked by Recode. Well, then why should we do it, right? If we're going to decrease GDP, if we're going to cut jobs by doing this, is it really that beneficial? Maybe Jack Dorsey is right. I just think it's kind of funny that Jack Dorsey is this lefty that Twitter wants to ban hate speech and do all these things and police language and make a more, healthy environment. They really believe in being the nurture nanny of the program they've developed. Yet when it comes to homelessness, he's like, whoa, hold on. I mean, look, it's not necessarily ironic or paradoxical. Maybe Dorsey's right. Maybe he really does want to solve homelessness, and the issue is that this is not a good way to do it. I actually think a lot of conservatives probably agree with him and say, you're right, it isn't the right way to do it. Just giving money to the government doesn't ensure anything. I think that's fair to say. Giving the government money probably is going to lead to waste and corruption. I've seen how federal employees, handle things. I've seen how federal contracts work. So I think what we need, though, is these programs can work. We have to get rid of the corruption. We have to fix the bloat. We can, maybe we need less money to solve this problem if we could deal with government corruption. At one point, Dorsey tweeted screenshots of his phone showing that he tried to call Benioff to discuss the matter. "Which homeless programs in our city are you supporting?" Benioff tweeted. "Can you tell me what Twitter and Square and you are in for, and at what financial levels? How much have you given to Heading Home, our $37 million initiative to get every homeless child off the streets?" So, look, one of the big problems, too, is that homeless kids want to be on the streets. Seriously. I used to work for a homeless shelter, and the kids don't want to be in the shelters. They ran off. They want to be with their friends, and they form groups. It's true in Seattle as well. According to a breakdown from CityLab, contributions included $100,000 from Lyft, $419. We don't need to break that down. Prop C is the dumbest, least thought-out prop ever. Please get the facts and vote no. Then let's all focus on real solutions for SF, tweeted chairman and co-founder of Zynga, Mark Pincus. Public dispute. It's really funny, okay, that I think so many people on the right can empathize with what these anti-Prop C people are saying, these wealthy CEOs, because often someone asks about a program. Hey, we want to allocate taxes for this thing. And it sounds so good to be like, oh, we should help homelessness. But the devil is in the details. You can't just say it's a good thing to fund homeless issues. You need to know what those issues are. And not only that, consider this. Someone could say something to you. They could walk up to you and say, hey, I'm raising money to help the homeless. And you'd be like, oh, that sounds great. You immediately assume what they mean is getting them food and shelter. What if they meant help the homeless by converting them to, Buddhism, right? Or converting them to Christianity? What they think of helping somebody may not be the same thing as you. In fact, you might think converting a homeless person to Christianity might actually help them for sure. The point I'm saying is the average person is going to assume that money is going to go towards something specific because of their assumptions, not over what actually is happening. And so for all we know, the government, has this proposition, hey, we want to allocate $300 million to helping homeless people in this way. What if by shelter they mean jail? Like, obviously they don't, but what if by shelter they mean busing them out to some, faraway valley where there's a big housing unit for the homeless and all they do is ship them out, right? You need to understand what you're funding. So anyway, the measure was opposed by Mayor London Breed, who campaigned on fixing the city's homelessness crisis and claimed in a statement the presidency lacks accountability and could make our homeless problem worse. It was supported by House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senator Dianne Feinstein. I think what we've learned here is that San Francisco is a city of poop. They have a poop patrol. That's kind of funny. And they don't know how to solve the problem. They don't. But this is what you get. I don't know how to solve the problem either. I really don't. I think it's fair to say that you could allocate resources to homelessness. But, man, things aren't easy. Government is not easy. Solving problems is not easy. Not easy. So, I don't know. I just thought it was funny that you have so many people who claim to be far left opposing this homelessness initiative. But maybe they're right? There's nuance in all things. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I'm going to get out of here. You can follow me on Twitter at Timcast, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.